Have you guys heard it?
No.
We will find out more shortly. That's going to be one of the discussion points for today. We'll also talk about Procore. They've done some analysis on some global industry trends in the construction industry, and the conversations surrounding those and what's happening. I guess a boots on the ground view from that perspective. Autodesk fired a public shot at Procore. And going into the details of that, I think is more interesting than the headline itself. So we'll get there. According to another article by an analyst, Trimble is keen to buy. I don't mean buy. I mean purchase, not buy.
Whatever at whatever price.
Oh,
Did
they're
they
just
say
ready
that?
to buy. They're on.
Trimble
They're in the
stock is a
market.
buy, or they are buy.
Okay, well, let's leave that one to the imagination.
Okay.
We'll
Or
talk
their
about
products are all going buy because they're old.
Oh man, this is spinning out of control.
Buy,
They actually have a
buy,
good product. Good product.
buy,
They
buy,
have a lot
baby.
of shit.
Oh, look who wants a marketing contract.
You could be the Trimble hype man.
Enthusiast.
Enthusiast. Yeah.
Global evangelist, actually. We'll go into Dustin. You were away last week because you had a sales kickoff, which is for the European segment of our audience is something that like before this week I hadn't really heard of, and I'm sure other
You
people
mean
can
sales?
resonate.
Europeans have never heard of sales. Is that what you're implying?
Part of the issue, yeah. It's
Should
very
be selling
true.
itself, no?
My friend who works in sales says the two hardest people works in global sales. The two hardest people to sell to is Germans, followed by English.
Why would that be?
What
described?
nationality is your friend?
He is, I'd say, half British and half from the Middle East.
Interesting.
And what is he selling? What does he sell?
Um,
What type of things?
marketing, like marketing, affiliate marketing.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say that about English people.
Man, your
I don't think it's hard
microphone's
selling
pretty
cars to Germans. I think that's quite easy.
quiet. Okay, we'll get into that one as well. Well, we got a lot to cover. Okay, we'll go through these quickly. And then finally, Autodesk. We did briefly touch on it last week, but obviously it's such a large investment. But there's other implications as to what it actually means. So Autodesk $200 million investment into Wild Labs. We do have no call-ins today, so lucky for everyone, it's just us four. Okay, first off, shall we go into this? So who here heard of this Citrini Global Intelligence Crisis article that was doing the rounds?
Enlighten us.
Yeah,
Nobody.
What is Citrini as
I
well?
hope you have, Owen. Otherwise, this will now be a very silent conversation.
Citrini
Well,
Research
okay.
provides insights on thematic equity investing and global macro trading.
Oh, and I think
Cross-asset-
you're our insight into the world of X. where all these
Well,
things-
actually, no. I got sent this via LinkedIn by two different people asking have they read this, and the answer to the question of have I read this is no. I still haven't read this. I did get an AI summary for us ready, which I will dive into. But I think the key points are like pretty easy to grasp. And yes, I did have a quick look for it earlier. So let me read this off and we can go into it. So this piece by Citrini Research, Martin, what did you say was a capital finance?
So
Research?
Sounds like
Citrini
a hedge fund research.
provides insights on thematic equity investing and global macro trading with cross assets, lateral thinking. They promise you will never have to ask what's the trade. So what's the trade here?
I wonder what they say about Figma.
Oh,
Don't get me
Dustin's
started.
the man. Dustin's the man for that. Well, look, they actually published this piece on a Substack, and it went viral across like the tech world or whatever. And obviously, as I mentioned, a few people sent it to me. So what it is a fictional financial report from June 2028, and it's looking back on a crisis that hasn't happened yet. And it's basically answering the question: what if AI keeps getting better at the rate that it's getting better and actually causes a massive economic crisis. So it's a little bit of a thought experiment, and a backward-looking take on what might happen if things carry on the way they're going. It's not a clear prediction by any means, but it's just a very detailed and well-argued version of a scenario that anyone has written that went viral. The big idea is, what if AI is incredibly successful? It actually ends up being bad for most people.
Well, the same question you could say to the internet, and it's mostly bad for most people, younger people, for example, but it gives tremendous gains for others as well. So it's just things
Essentially.
are not black or white or long or short, no?
No, yes. But let me go into it's broken down into 5 chapters. What I'll do is I'll do a quick intro and then we'll go into each of the chapters and we can have some discussion around each of those. What it says is AI makes companies more productive. Companies need fewer workers. Fewer workers means less consumer spending. Less consumer spending hurts businesses. Hurt businesses invest more into AI to cut costs, which means even fewer workers, and the cycle continues to repeat. Everyone grasp that concept?
Mm-hmm.
This apparently is what they call the intelligence displacement spiral, where every individual company is making a smart move, but collectively they're destroying the economy that buys their stuff. Okay, anyone first initial thoughts. Martin, you wanted to say something? You go.
So this is about like deflationary forces, right? For which will hit people and humanity if there's more and more AI. That feels to me like. I think that people who are ruling countries they have the cure for that, and that's more spending for other things. So I don't think it's imminent. I think it will take decades to unravel, because it's not going to happen in 2028 for sure. But I'm guessing the same as Citrini. So,
Dustin?
I think companies become more efficient. I just want to follow the logic. Companies become more efficient because they need less people to accomplish the same amount of work. Then it's predicated on they don't want to reinvest that capital. They want to take that capital and just pure profits. Okay, and then, but isn't it negating the fact that the thing now shifts, like how defensible people are, things are coming. So isn't this going to open up a flood of new opportunities for new business creation, which then creates a new pool of labor that can go into these new markets that are now created that never could be created before. So new opportunities now exist. So it completely says all pessimism, but it doesn't talk about, hey,
Yeah.
what new opportunities aren't we thinking of that is predicated on these new technologies? So I guess I'd be a buyer of. I think it's going to be bad for some people, but usually with technology shifts, it is bad for some people and it's great for other people. Yeah. That tends to always be true. So I'm a buyer that it will be bad for some people. I'm a buyer that there's going to be a lot of people that have had very cushy jobs that are built on basically they've accumulated knowledge over a long career or a medium to long career, that people are able to catch up in their knowledge base and actually outproduce them with a relatively short amount of time, and they're going to actually speed past them. So I'm a buyer of that, where there's going to be a lot of people, especially in the US, that are these mid to upper management folks that are no longer that valuable. I think interpersonal communication skills and being able to pitch, sales, which we're going to talk about later, if everyone has the same knowledge base, I think I've said this before, then your ability to articulate your position to another human is even more important. People are going to have to rely on those things. And I think we've had an erosion on our ability to communicate in society over time.
100%.
So
you go. Hey, Patrick, how about you?
Yeah,
I don't understand the premise. So walk me through it again, Owen, just making sure I got it. Okay, so we're in the year 2028. What is the P&L that they are presenting?
Well, I don't know if we get to that level, but do you want me to repeat the paragraph, which basically says AI makes companies more productive, so therefore the companies need fewer workers. Therefore, fewer workers means less consumer spending. Less consumer spending then hurts the businesses. Hurt businesses then invest more in AI to cut the cost further. Then there's fewer workers, like this virtuous cycle, right? And the cycle
But it
repeats with
never
no
talks
stopping
about
point.
like cost of goods going down to the consumer. Like things become way cheaper.
Yeah. Like why Facebook didn't stop after having 1,000 users? They could, yeah. No, but they wanted to grow it, to reinvest it somewhere else, and keep compounding.
I don't know where you're going with that.
I mean, where I'm going with that is that it's not only one-sided. That I think Dustin said that like what will they do with this capital? Like keep it and then spend it in the grocery stores or somewhere else? No, people want to grow businesses, have develop the ideas, and that's how you get these large companies being built through that.
Yeah. Okay, look, spoiler alert. There was actually a response to this, which we'll get to right at the end when we've been through it, of someone who is also a whatever you call them, AI thought leader, but where it had a bit more of a positive take on it. So we will get to the not so doom side of it. But as you have probably noticed in today's day and age, the way to get media attention is to just fearmonger the crap out of everyone. So this is where we're starting from.
So look, it's a very economist type rationale. And in fact, the way they are arguing, you would be able to look up Wikipedia articles about macroeconomics that would argue pretty much the exact same thing, minus AI, right? So the paradigm is, hey, when unemployment goes up, consumer spending goes down, and then someone actually needs to step in order to keep spending money. And usually that's the macroeconomic worldview, that's the state. Yeah, so then you want to increase government spending in order to buffer the spend that has gone down from consumers. I think what's interesting in the AI context, or generally even automation context, is that the taxes actually come from salaries. The taxes, they also come from, VAT, and they are corporate taxes, but the vast tax body actually comes from salary. So when salaries go down, the ability of the state to actually make revenue also goes down when it's not replaced by either higher corporate tax income or by the robots now pay taxes. That's the real position that I am taking. And so it's not a 2028 time window in my books, but I'm an advocate and owner of the idea that if you truly want to live with AI, and let's say AI is as efficiency creating as we all think, I think there are reasons why it might not play out that way, but that's, whatever, let's assume that. Then actually you need to start, in order to have a stable society, then you actually need to start shifting from salary tax to robot tax, because then you actually have an ability to redistribute income and make sure that society can participate on a not necessarily equal footing, but on a footing that keeps society stable, right? And so then what you would also see is that people can actually retire earlier. So that's the opportunist, the optimist in me, right? So then all of a sudden you might not have the discussion anymore that everybody has to work until 75 and their back is crooked, but actually, hey, some people might genuinely be able to retire at 55 because we have created a mechanism through which robotic productivity gets redistributed across the society. So that's actually a very cool thing, but that requires legislation.
I think even a more interesting hypothetical is, does AI actually increase gross domestic product output? Or is it we just do it cheaper, and because there's less demand, there's like GDP isn't like, are we able to build new things and therefore we can create more wealth for everyone? Or is it purely, like Patrick is saying, a tax on civilians and salaried employees, in which case we do have a structural problem. But if now GDP is also accelerating, we have more abundance, and those problems are easier to solve than if it's the same GDP.
I mean, GDP is a sum ultimately of goods and services being purchased. Does AI increase that?
I don't know. Maybe crop yields can now go up exponentially, and there's some other things that just take place. Probably not.
Shall we go into the chapters? Because actually, Patrick, you touched upon one of the chapters in here about how
Oh,
the
I swear
government
I haven't
can't
read
keep
it.
up.
Okay.
Ah, yeah, you see, it's
Uh-huh.
like you wrote this. Maybe you. Do you would do any side gigs for Citrini research?
Maybe I'm Satoshi. You just don't know.
You never know. No one knows. That's the thing. Well, you wouldn't be very happy if you were right now, huh? Okay, this is so the 5 chapters is broken into. Chapter 1 is that software gets eaten. Aha! Breaking shocking headline news, which has been come up in more than one conversation recently. This happens in late 2025 and early 2026. This is a narrative. AI coding tools get so good that a decent developer can rebuild a mid-market software product in weeks. Companies that were paying $400K a year for software subscriptions start saying, why don't we just build it ourselves? Even if they don't actually do it, the threat of doing it gives them massive negotiating leverage. Software companies are forced into 30% discounts just to keep clients.
I would agree.
Here is a kicker. Software
like that.
companies like ServiceNow sell licenses per employee. So when their clients cut 15% of staff thanks to AI, they also cancel 15% of their software licenses. The very thing making their customers more profitable is destroying ServiceNow's revenue.
Correct.
It's like selling a gym membership.
I refer to the CEO of NVIDIA who specifically addressed this on his earnings call yesterday, called out ServiceNow specifically and said, these companies are not dead. The company ServiceNow is going to be able to provide these solutions to their businesses. So it's not that like, okay, yeah, you can build that. That also takes the assumption that that software company is not using these tools to add value to their product. So you are starting from a place of behind. And then there's the whole question of like, I've seen several companies that I saw someone post about his app that he built in Lovable. And so I went in there and I took a look at it. It's trash. Okay. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can do it well.
That's true.
I thought you were going to say it's the best thing you've ever seen, Dustin.
Yeah,
It's trash.
But the fact that more people will be able to do it means that there will be more things which are built just to service basic things. And
Can someone still riddle the paradox for me? Sorry, I'm waiting for 9 months for an answer. So
Come on in.
if vibe coders could actually vibe code a vibe coder, it would be done. Can someone just
getting
resolve
closer.
that paradox for me?
I actually don't understand what does it mean. A vibe coder can vibe code and something. I just
So
can't
you
even...
have a Lovable license and you rebuild Lovable.
Yeah. That's
That's a
great
good
idea.
point. Okay. Also,
I think
why no one has done it?
I only can come to one conclusion, which is it's not good enough to do it.
Well, I like read one where someone was like, oh, DoorDash, someone could recreate DoorDash and therefore all of the delivery apps should go to zero. I'm like,
No. I
what
think
the hell are you talking about?
Hey, it's on this article, the DoorDash example. Yeah, we can do
Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
talk about
hilarious.
this.
I can absolutely vibe code the operation software of a cement plant. So all cement companies should go to zero now.
no, but for a very basic apps, you probably can do it in 15 seconds. Very basic apps, which will be for your own or your family use case.
Not
that
debating
use
that.
case.
Not
Yeah.
debating that, Martin. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But-
And you look, I mean, I have software that I'm kicking out, right? So I'm paying 100,000 or what? I'm probably not 100,000. I'm paying 30,000 for some governance software. I can do it myself. That's completely fine. That is like expensive fringe kind of a software that served value, had ROI, but the ROI is better actually replacing it with something else. I'm not debating that, but I am debating, can you actually build a ServiceNow suite or Workday? The other day, Dustin debated, right? I'm like, hey, if your vibe coder is that good, it could vibe code itself, and then you're in an inception type of a loop.
I don't think this will
Which
ever happen.
honestly would be awesome. It would suck, but it would be awesome.
I don't think this will ever happen. because on the timeline, these companies, which will be becoming better and better, more advanced, so it will take more compute or more whatever to recreate them, and it will be chasing the tail of ever evolving companies. So I can see it, but I don't think this will happen in the next decade, even, or 2 decades.
You know where you also can't vibe code, and I want to go back to the conversation.
People
of
and relationships.
Bytes. Exactly, trust, people,
Yes.
relationships, same thing. Yeah.
It's like I can read your mind.
Oh yeah, you've obviously been following Bricks and Bytes. I appreciate your fandom. Okay, should we go to should we go to chapter 2? This is the headline of this chapter is The Middleman Dies. AI agents start handling everyday consumer decisions, not in a futuristic sci-fi way. People don't even realize that they're using AI the same way nobody thinks about the cloud when they watch Netflix. The agents start eliminating friction, and it turns out trillions of pounds of business value was built on friction. Travel booking sites existed because comparing flights is tedious. Insurance companies made money because people couldn't be bothered to shop around at renewal. Estate agents charge 5 to 6% because buyers didn't have easy access to market data. AI agents find none of this tedious. They check every option, every time, instantly.
Okay, so this is
Half
for
true.
yeah for
Half
for
true. Real
subset,
estate agents make money because of other reasons. Zillow
They
They
have
have a
exists.
monopoly.
but
That's
this
it.
will work for certain subset of people, for certain subset of services or products. Ask my mom, who is in this flat right now, if she would
Bring
ever
her.
buy
Important
buy
detail.
or sell a property through the internet, even through the internet. Okay, she wouldn't do that. So there's certain subset of people who will never use it in this kind of way. So yeah, certain things obviously like booking flights.
It's an important point you're making. I think you're right. So the assumption that all of a sudden all of population is
Everyone.
jumping onto the new system, that's sort of not a correct assumption. I agree with you. Yep.
And
Now,
not
you're obviously eating away market share, though.
Yes, that's true. But I also think that on the other side of this, middleman market will actually grow in certain subsets of services or products, because if you are a smart middleman, you will leverage the fact that you are a middleman through the AI. So you will be making even more better margins selling certain things to certain people. So there is
You think
no
of real estate brokers?
not at all, but I don't know, selling, for example, engineering services. I could see there would be a way to do that.
I mean, engineering services have existed for contract for hire for a long time. I think that, like, yes, obviously low value things like, hey, tell me the best flight. Kayak existed because that was a problem, and now it's just a better version of Kayak. And Kayak doesn't charge for their services. They're a referral. They make money on referral generations from the airlines. So maybe Kayak goes under, which, okay, cool. So flights get cheaper. That actually helps consumers because essentially the airlines are subsidizing their referral fee to Kayak, and they don't have to do that because everyone can find all their stuff. So those types of things don't bother me. That's just like, yes, we're cutting slack out and whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
You obviously never flew with Ryanair before, Dustin.
Brian.
Great product.
Is that
Well, I think you either love him or hate him, right? The CEO of the company, but every way to
I
make
love
I
him.
think
money,
he's great.
will
I think
find-
he's
yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
Look, by the way, the founder is a legend, man. Tony Ryan, that's an absolute Irish entrepreneur legend.
Is this the same guy who is currently in charge?
No.
Oh,
So is it O'Leary or someone? I think is a CEO.
Kevin O'Reilly? No, not this dragon.
But the DoorDash, back to the DoorDash example Dustin brought up earlier. This is what this takeaway says. It says that the DoorDash's entire moat was built on you're hungry, you're on the sofa. This is the app on your phone. An AI agent doesn't have a phone home screen. It can check 30 delivery apps, i.e., 29 other competitors that have been vibe coded to compete with DoorDash apparently, and picks the cheapest one every time.
You know what? I'm very skeptical of that because there's so many things, so many times you get onto an app or a platform, whatever, and they're asking you to choose between things, and they always will schedule it or make you choose certain things in a certain way, so they get the best of the profit, whatever that is. And I'm very skeptical of that because if the AI agents will be without prior discussion with me about certain things, they will not have all of my brain in themselves. So if they skip the selection process, that's not going to be most likely the best outcome for me. So I'm very skeptical of this. Again, for some people it will work, but for some people it wouldn't.
Let me tell you the problems. First of all, I believe I know what article you're talking about. I believe the author has a degree in like liberal arts or something. It's never been a part of the business. So check who the author is. Second, or the reference to the DoorDash, because I think I remember looking that up. Second,
French literature.
okay. It's something awful that they have no idea what it ever takes to run a business. Okay, so you're just using this vibe coded app. What is their return policies? How do they manage credit cards or support? How do they finance this business? What
Doesn't
how
matter,
do you
dude.
like
You're missing the
no,
point.
it's just you have an app. Thereby you have a business. It's an obscene
The AI agents deal with it.
Agent. Yeah.
Okay, should we?
I actually think that if you say something publicly on the internet, you should be held accountable for that.
Hey,
so
on that
in
point,
2000,
you know what the German chancellor just wants to introduce as a law is that in Germany you have to have clear name text on everywhere on the internet. Of course, he's not going to get it through, and it's almost a ridiculous priority. But that, to your point, Martin, that's exactly his point.
By the way, this is a thought experiment, guys. It's like it's kind of entertainment, right? It's not meant to be. It's not predicting the future necessarily.
Hey, what are you saying, Owen? I clearly I clearly get the vibe that you're standing behind this paper. You might have even written it.
I think
the
so.
fact you're totally defending it right now.
You just hate the DoorDash fees.
I'm way not smart enough for this. Let's go to 2027 then. And so in 2027, displaced the white collar worker downshift happens. Displaced white collar work professionals don't just sit at home; they take lower paying jobs. A 140K salary product manager who gets replaced by AI ends up driving Uber for 35K. I mean, at this point, who's going to even pay for the Uber? I don't know.
I thought the Uber would be first than white.
Yeah, I know. No one's got any money to pay for the Uber.
Vehicles are getting rid of Ubers anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wait,
Ubers were supposed to be early.
that's real.
Yeah.
That's happening in London too. There's a big funding, I think, a company called Wave just announced.
Oh
this
man, I would love them.
If you multiply by that hundreds of thousands of people across every major city, you've got overqualified workers flooding the service economy, pushing everyone's wages down.
And that's all in 2027, yeah?
Yeah, people who still have white-collar jobs, they're spending like they might be next. Savings go up, spending goes down. Everyone's running scared.
I think it's quite interesting because actually I think you need more product managers and more designers these days because engineers are so much more productive.
Whoa.
And so you need more people planning what they're going to be working on.
Yeah, which effectively means better products.
Well, I will also say the product managers are more productive, so it's a yin and yang. I just think in general, software development becomes more productive. So why get rid of them? Why not create more?
Okay, I'm going to rattle through the last two. Chapter 4, this is late 2027. So by this point, we've got about 16 months left till this happens, guys. 16, 17, 18 months. This is where it gets properly scary and a bit more complex. Should we have a quick break before we go through this one? Sit down. The private credit bomb.
I can grab a coffee.
Now doing commercial breaks, or is that?
No, I was having a laugh. Anyway, we'll wait for. He just wants to quickly buy one more last DoorDash.
The next segment is sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'.
Oh no, they're never gonna sponsor us.
No, I'm a sellout. If they came to us for a good price, we would sponsor them.
I mean, Boston this year, we should definitely give it a go. The private credit. Okay, this is where it properly gets scary. The private credit bomb. Over the last decade, private equity firm bought lots of software companies using borrowed money, betting that their subscription revenue would keep growing. When AI disrupted these companies, the loans went bad. But here's the twist. A lot of that lending was funded by life insurance companies using everyday people's pension and annuity money. So the losses from dodgy tech buyouts end up hitting ordinary households' retirement savings. Okay, I would need to unpack that, but hopefully you guys understand.
I'm pretty sure the same life insurance companies and retirement funds also invested some of it into the capital markets because they diversify the shit out of those portfolios. And so they probably got some outsized returns in this scenario where NVIDIA is essentially the most important company in the world, is worth $50 trillion. Because the utopia you're promising is everything runs on NVIDIA chips, and it's...
Patrick, you have an
Or in some
opinion on
power
this?
generation company.
I actually didn't get the point of this question. Can you like rephrase it somehow?
Patrick, do you have one?
Sorry, is that the question that Martin was referring to?
No, I mean just like a thought on this. I'll send it to you, Martin.
I don't understand the PE aspect. So replay the PE sentence on me. The implication.
Okay, I'll do it again for both of your benefit. Over the last decade, private equity firms bought loads of software companies using borrowed money, betting that their subscription revenue of the software companies would continue to grow.
Sure.
But when AI disrupts these companies, the loans go bad. A lot of that lending was funded by life insurance companies using everyday people's pensions and annuity money. So the losses from dodgy tech buyouts end up hitting ordinary households' retirement savings.
Is this how private credit works?
Not private credit, but PE. Yeah, I think that's a pretty logical chain. You would have the same problem in VC, except that VC is usually a much smaller portion of the allocation than PE.
There were.
I can see it. I see the logic in it. Now the assumption is that software companies will actually get dumped that much, but that's the scenario that they are painting. But in that scenario, I find it logical. Yeah.
Martin?
I think there were two large cases last year in the US that obviously I can't remember the company names, but one was something to do with the buying car parts on credit card or something like that. Company that went bust, and there was this kind of mechanism to fund this company. But that's everyone was kind of expecting after Silicon Valley Bank, other banks to go bust, and kind of nothing happened after that. Now, as Citrini is expecting a lot of these companies to go bust, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know.
Okay, the next one is about mortgages. The US mortgage market is $13 trillion apparently. Every mortgage is underwritten on the assumption that the borrower keeps earning roughly what they earn now for 30 years. When white-collar professionals with perfect credit scores lose their jobs or take massive pay cuts, those bulletproof mortgages start to look shaky.
I mean, that's not the only assumption under which a mortgage is being issued. The second assumption is that, and that's why you literally securitize the home, is that the home will keep its value so that and there's a fungible secondary market. So in that example, you must also make the assumption that home values across the board crash, and you can't do the secondary sale. Now, that is what happened in the great financial crash across the US. That problem wasn't the same in Europe. So in Europe, it was much more stable on that end. But in the US, that's exactly what happened. For, Dustin, how long? 18 months, probably? Longer?
Yeah, and the home market's more than 13 trillion if you count all the derivatives. And how much that balloons up.
Yeah.
That's why the financial crisis was so crazy.
Yeah. So on that front, I don't know. It is making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Chapter 5, 2028, the ultimatum. This is like game over for everybody now. The government's entire revenue model is based on taxing human work, Patrick, because you touched upon earlier.
My God, as if I had known. Well done.
People work, people get paid, people pay tax. But when AI replaces workers, tax receipts collapse. At exactly the moment more people need government support. It's a double squeeze. There's less money coming in and more money going out. They describe proposals for an AI compute tax and a kind of sovereign wealth fund funded by the AI-generated output. But the politics are gridlocked. The right calls it socialism. The left worries about corporate capture. And while everyone argues, the spiral keeps accelerating. The analogy is the house is on fire and the fire brigade is arguing about who's going to pay for the water.
I think it's all right. Let's just say that AI can create a utopia. In a utopia, who is the highest paid person? I actually think it's the person that does the job that absolutely no one ever wants to do. It's like if you can live, right? So then it's like,
Yeah.
who cleans up the porta potty crapper? Like
Yeah.
that person makes a bunch of money because no one wants to do it because I have all the stuff I need. So like,
Or they have to do
would
it
be-
for free. There's also an alternative. They have to do it for free. For some
the
reason.
criminals. We just make criminals clear up. But
But that's not utopia anymore, though.
that's,
Mm.
we can't get rid of our human nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even in a utopia, you get people that do a lot of drugs and go crazy.
I mean, to some people, that is utopia, huh?
For a time being.
Okay, well, look, that's the article. People want to go deeper. I like how they put it together. To be honest with you, I think it's good thought provoking.
I have a feeling we just lost 3 viewers out of 5.
I don't think so. People have been like nailing on about me about these kind of conversations for a long time. So
This is part of my LinkedIn problem as well. Like someone writes something, it sounds like it sounds, and it is supposed to be good. It's not. Like
Martin, you have to go. You don't have to go all passive aggressive on Owen. You can. He's here. You can tell him directly that you don't appreciate his posts.
you got to play the game, play the algorithm, man.
yeah.
Okay, so we go into some construction stuff then, as that's typically what we speak about on here, as it relates to the bigger economy, of
do it.
course. Okay. Let's talk about this Procore discussion that I had just before we went live with Chris about Procore's. They're doing these new webinar series about market intelligence and what's going on in the wider macroeconomic environment and like the conversations that go around that. And there's an important detail because anyone now can go on like a large language model and probably come to the same data points that Procore have come to. But where the real magic happens are in these conversations and like the boots on the ground viewpoints around what the data means for companies and how people are reacting to it. So there are a little bit of a taster of the conversation that I had with Chris this afternoon. And there are 3 points that come out of the report, and maybe I can dive into some of the detail. First off, there's a great bifurcation of the construction economy. So on one hand, you have like the data centers, the power generation infrastructure, everything is booming on that side. But then on the consumer economy, so the likes of us, residential, retail, and office, the sectors are facing headwinds. There's lots of high interest rates, rising costs for labor and materials, and that market is generally contracting. And there's a slight disconnect if we're looking at the figures. In the US, there's 21% year-over-year growth in the momentum index, which is the number of starts, but the architectural billings are in contraction. So what that means is there's not a lot of like new design work happening for new projects, but the number of projects starting now is increasing or going up. So what that means is that there will be eventually be this lag between like when all these projects finish, like there's no new projects starting to fill that gap. But there is one counterpoint to that. What I just said is that with data centers, a lot of the design apparently is quite repeatable. So you don't necessarily need like tons and tons of billable architectural hours to fill that void. Makes sense? Next up is about AI. So they said at Procore what they've witnessed in the last 12 months or so is this change between people talking about AI and actually people now implementing and using AI. And
Are
even
they still calling it Helix, or is it now Procore AI and they abandoned the Helix term?
Well, they acquired DataGrid, right? So
Is it Procore Data Grid?
So he didn't say this to me, but this is just my knowledge based on conversations that I had with Tiago about the acquisition. Was Tiago being the founder of DataGrid, was that all their customers were asking for AI, so that's why the acquisition happened. And so like to relate it to the earlier point, people are no longer talking about. People are actually like want it, use it, are building use cases, and Procore are there to serve them with DataGrid.
Yeah, I'm having lunch with Tiago on Monday. We were texting this morning.
Nice. Yeah, and so some of the use cases of some like Procore's customers, companies like Turner Construction, Skanska Construction, they're actually deploying their own AI safety agents. And even within companies that Procore speak to and deal with, a lot of the project engineers are now using large language models, so stuff like Claude Code, some of the stuff that maybe we were just having a fun discussion about, to build their own custom apps to solve specific site problems that they have. But at the organizational level, so the executive management suite, they don't like that approach because obviously there's issues with data security, loss of knowledge between when people move projects. So at the board level or the executive level, they're looking at ways in which they can democratize the access to these tools so it doesn't just get lost in a void once someone does quote unquote vibe code a tool that they might need for a construction project.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and lastly, the third point was about the labor crisis and knowledge gap. So depending on what publication you read or data you look at, it's roughly 400,000 short in the US alone. That's just people. There's a huge gap coming. 41% of the current construction workforce is expected to retire by 2031, and there's a lack of people coming with interest coming into the industry. So a lot of their initiative is about how they attract the younger generation into the industry and make the industry exciting and fun for people to come into. So that's what's happening in the last 4 or 5 months.
Good to know.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's Helix, Patrick.
Is it still?
Still Helix, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Helix, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I feel well
Right.
informed. Thank you, Owen.
Shall we? I wasn't waiting for you to say that, but I'll take it. Thank you for filling the silence. Okay, I was thinking of where to go next. I think maybe let's put the spotlight on Dustin. I've done a lot of talking today.
Okay.
So, Dustin, what the heck is a SKO?
Sales kickoff. So it's very traditional in software companies that the sales team, to kick off their year, has an offsite somewhere and talks about the goals, reviews deals from last year, looks at pipeline, looks at like objectives. How do we get there? What do we need to do? And we just had one in Atlanta. Now our sales org is only 10 people right now, but it is super fun. It is one of my favorite things to do. As being a startup CEO, I just love getting away with the team and, talking about like, what does good look like? What does great look like? Talking about specific strategic accounts and how are we going to go win these things? Talking about, all right, what are the product gaps we're seeing that we really need to inform the product team? We did a lot of vibe coding. We did. We're seeing a lot of advantages on Salesforce is an awesome system of record, and it actually enables us, because we have really great like data ontology and business logic created in our Salesforce, to use Claude to provide better dashboards than you can in Salesforce in much quicker than you would in a different reporting tool. And so we've created all these custom dashboards, these forecasting tools that literally allows you to move accounts by stage and go what if scenarios. Now you have to do some sanity checks, make sure that it's actually grabbing the right information. Once it does, we actually write the code, so it's not a language model regenerating it every time. So that was super fun, and we're doing more experimentations. There's even some nuanced problems that I'm not even put into the product team, that I have some of our people that are product specialists or implementation sales engineers that they're working on solving with Claude for our customers. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
How did it change? What has changed since last year on the since last sales kickoff?
So last sales kickoff was me and 3 other people in my director of sales shed in Nashville. He has a house, and then he has like a barn shed that he works from. It's very big. It's nice. It's wonderful. But this time we were at a hotel and we rented out like office spaces, and we went and did axe throwing. So that was quite fun.
That's butch.
Very team bonding, very construction.
Nice. What about the
very
goals?
enjoyable.
What about the goals? Like, how do you see the goals compared to last year? Whatever you can share.
So last year was like, we just wanted to win deals, and now we can actually have the data to set some real numbers. And so I think we have ambitious goals. And in order for us to hit those, we got to deliver not just on like talking to customers, but our product roadmap has to be achieved. But this is how I know our company is doing well. Like anyone ever, like you can do all this forecasting stuff. I assigned what I thought was aggressive quotas. And here's how you know if your company is probably going to hit their number. You do an SKO, you have the quotas all set out and distributed, and then you just generally assess the vibe of the sales organization. And if the team isn't like super stressed, like it will be apparent if you just hang out with them over 3 days, if it's unachievable. And just from the interactions, that's why I feel really confident about what we're doing. But in general, like there's more people, and every single person is unanimously bought in that our tool is so different from our competitors. And while we might not win every deal because everyone doesn't see it right away, we are so well positioned to like win all of pre-con. So yeah, SKO. It like, I had been away for a week, so it was a 2-week trip. So it's kind of like melancholy from sleeping in hotels. It's like a shot of adrenaline to bring you back and get you all excited and invigorated about what you're doing. So SKOs are very fun.
What are you doing today? What are you doing today differently about your SKOs than whatever year 1 or whatever year 5 building connected?
Oh, so building connected. So the building connected one, I'm referencing one we did in Cincinnati. So that was more, building connected had a different sales motion. So that was more about data aggregation, talking about our sequencing. We're doing more consultative sales work and more discovery, where we spend more time with customers than we ever had to do at BC. BC was the same playbook, and it was like, how fast can we do that playbook? Here it's more about how many quality companies can we speak with that truly want to improve their pre-construction process, not just now, but for the future, and are buying into, hey, we need to do it better. And we're seeing this roadmap. So it's almost like a different sort of like positioning between one company to another. So I'd say that how we position it is like, what could we do to optimize this to move as fast as possible? Here it's how do we get better so that our messaging is uniform and that people understand our product roadmap, our vision. And it's also like at any point in time, I wanted the sales team to know, like, look, if they should be buying us because of the company, not just the product. So I'm available to talk about this vision and where we take this in the next 2, 3, or 5 years. That's one thing I think that I'm going to post this article about where people have problems buying software in construction. A lot of people buy software on feature sets. Wrong. You need to buy software on the problems that they're presenting, and then where they tell you their roadmap's going to be, and then weighting that on their ability to execute on that roadmap. Because software is not stagnant. It's not like you buy a house. A house is what it is, and you might have to put in some ancillary repair costs. So a lot of people view software as buying an asset. It's not buying an asset. It's a living, breathing machine that you interact with. It's a partner, and you need to know who your partner is. Now, I will give credit to, I would like permission to say his name. I sat down with the CEO of another construction company yesterday. One of the best conversations I've had in a very long time. In fact, I'll ask him later if I could share it. He felt the same way. He was like, listen, if we're investing in someone, I want to know who's the man steering the ship. And because we do view this as a partnership, I said, you have my cell phone, call me at any point in time. Here's what we're working on. Here's where we're moving. And it was really a pleasure to have that. It was wonderful.
The trust, the track record, the moat.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Dustin, I got a question, a little bit facetious, but I'm going to ask you. If you mentioned like if you can tell the vibe on the room, whether is like gives you the signal as to whether you have set like a realistic target, right?
I had a
What
comment to
if
this as well.
what if they're not what if your employees are not stressed enough? Do you go home and be like, oh damn?
You know what? That's the happy scenario, right? Like, okay, so I pay them a little bit more. They're happy. I want a happy team, like people that are working on. I think we have a WhatsApp message where people are talking about quotas and overpaying people. My dream is I assign someone. I mean, we're not signing baby quotas. We're signing $1 million quota, right? And my dream is I want someone, if I sign them $1 million and they go out and sell $5 million, I want to write them a check for $1 million. I would love to do that. I'd love to go to my board. I'm sorry, this person made $1 million because they sold $5 million in software. Like, that's not something that stresses me out. And a lot of founders are like, oh, what if we overpay this person? That means that they did so well that they just exceeded your expectations, because I can only make my expectations on the information I know today. Right. So, and I'm building my business to operate under those expectations. So it's a win-win. Like, it's just dumbfounding to me how many people are like, well, let's put a cap on this because, you know, they shouldn't make this much money. And then you're like, why? Why are you worrying about that?
That's
Why is there
unfair.
a ceiling? Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know if salespeople are not selling you the vibe that they are confident of those goals? Because they are salespeople, so they should be able to sell it to you.
Martin, I've been interacting with humans for a long time. It's
Okay.
one of my superpowers. All right, to say an American phrase, say American phrase. You don't bullshit a bullshitter.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, one last thing, Dustin. Your advice on how to run a great SKO, sales kickoff.
The CEO should start in and talk about the vision of why this company is a really big deal, and inspire their team to believe that you understand. And you should. It's not that to believe. They need to know that you understand where this company goes, not just this year, not just next year, but 10 years out. It's funny, Patrick, I was talking to John about this earlier. I was saying on one of the things we looked at, I didn't get the sense that there was a vision 10 years out. And that's who I want to buy. Someone who sees so far out because they know this landscape so well that you would be crazy to question them. And if your team buys into that, they're gonna be inspired individuals. So that's the number one thing that the CEO can bring to the table.
Very cool. So CEO led, and then the usual stuff. Yeah.
The technical stuff, no, the director of sales needs to do that, but you got to start with like, hey, this is why this is special. This is why you should be here. This is why you should wake up and be like, I'm going to be a part of a company that's amazing.
Okay, very cool.
This got me all excited. Thanks, guys.
I'm glad. We're putting fire under the vision of Edify. Okay, guys, we have one more. Should we go into the Trimble wants to buy? Seeing as we dwell on it for such a long time in the introduction, that maybe.
So when you say that, I'm a football guy, as you guys know. So the first thing that actually comes to my mind is Al Davis, just win, baby. So this is a Trimble version, right? So this is just buy, baby.
Yeah, or what's the other one? ABC, always be closing on the subject of sales.
Always be buying, ABB.
ABB. A good one for the post AI agent era.
So just to be clear, they're referring to acquisitions of companies?
Exactly. So this is written by a publication called Simply Wall Street. Anyone familiar with that? Nope. Okay.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so Trimble is prioritizing acquisitions to strengthen its core market with a clear focus on construction software. Management has outlined M&A as a key element of its growth and capital allocation plans for 2026. M&A being mergers and acquisitions, so buying of companies. And the company is weighing capital deployment between share repurchases and targeted deals that can integrate into existing platforms.
Is that even news? That seems like that's what Trimble does. That's not like that's how they operate. They don't build within. They've always like that's not news. Trimble wants to buy companies.
Is there like a
No.
budget that they give or something like over this many years, this much? Is that a news part?
Is it they want to buy
Nope.
more than they traditionally do? They just buy. Very insightful.
Nope. I feel like I got catfished by the headline of the article.
Probably.
Trimble wants to buy companies. Yes, they do.
In the last 5 years, they've done 10 to 12
Okay,
acquisitions.
I will
And
take this as a fact that I've just done Trimble's marketing for them for a good chunk. So
You should reach out
Well,
to them
there
and
is-
actually ask them.
There is
Yeah.
a rumor that they're buying one particular company. I don't know if we can say that yet. I don't know. You've all heard the rumor, right?
I
Nope.
have none.
You know, I
No?
will really now say yes,
I'm
just
not
to
gonna
make
say
sure
it.
I appear.
Oh
like
yeah,
I
that
have.
one. Yeah, that one.
To appear like you know.
Sure. Man.
okay. Okay, last one then, because we teased upon this last week, you didn't go into it, but Autodesk $200 million acquisition of World Labs.
Investment, not acquisition.
Sorry, investment, correct. I'm obviously still stuck in the buy mindset. Okay, so okay, I'll read the headlines then, and then we can go into this and get why this is important in the world of AI. But so they invested $200 million into an AI startup called World Labs as part of a wider investment of $1 billion, and it centers on the concept of spatial intelligence or physical AI. And unlike large language, this is the important detail here. Unlike large language models, that process text or generative models that create 2D images, World Labs builds world models and AI systems that understand, generate, and reason about three-dimensional environments governed by the laws of physics. So I think, Patrick, you've been coining this term recently: probabilistic AI versus something else.
No,
Does
no,
that
I
fall
can take
into-
no. So I can take the
What is
credit for
probabilistic
coining
AI?
that.
So it's probabilistic models? Like
Probably.
Yeah, exactly. So it's inherently in the case of many large models. I was just pointing that out in a group chat that we're all in. That's how they function.
They are probabilistic.
Yeah, and what this means is that people can now you rather than just beyond generative design, people can actually generate world building. So architects in particular can generate entire physics accurate urban site plans from a text prompt, apparently. And in
How?
terms of what it means for Autodesk, the deal is being viewed as defensive and offensive masterstroke. Defensively, it protects Autodesk from being disrupted by AI-first design tools that could render traditional CAD obsolete, whether you agree or not. Offensively, it gives Autodesk a massive lead in the creation of digital twins that are not just static models, but living simulations where AI agents
Sorry,
can
I have to say something here. So I'm sorry.
practice us. Yeah, carry it. Go for it. I'm not sure I
have to
agree
say
with this
something
either.
here. So a world model, okay, whatever. If you invent terms, you get to define them and whatever. And then, if you want to appear civilization scale, you choose the grandest kind of an umbrella term as you can, and then you pretend like world model is everything. That's why I call it world model. I'm sorry, but let's just clarify something. So this currently works in entertainment, and it will probably work in gaming. Why? Because these are not physics models. They are not having to model in a gaming or entertainment environment the interaction of a million different atoms, cause and effect, all the mechanical aspects of it, etc. Just stay in Newtonian physics, okay? So just stay in that level. It can't do that. So if your world model is about saying things like, okay, here's a wall, here's a park, then probably over there should be a bench. Then it's doing the exact same thing that today's visual models are doing in a 3D environment. That's a great achievement. Lovely. Fantastic. but it is not describing, if that's what it does, it's not describing what should happen to the bench if it gets hit by an asteroid, or what should happen to the leaf on the tree when something unexpected happens. That would be a world model, because now you could actually model the entire physics of the universe. You see what I just said, right? So that is actually, sorry, but if you can do that, then we truly run a simulation. They can't.
can't do
So
that.
is it deserving of the term world model?
It's only visuals without any properties of the objects that they are modeling.
So maybe that's, sorry, let me just conclude the point, Owen, because I want to get to the implication of this. So I'm not saying they're not building that. That's not my point, because I have no insight into Five Ali's company, okay? I'm saying if you're not building that, you shouldn't be calling a world model. That's one. And two, if you know you have a world model, if it is applicable in construction, because of all the mechanical interactions on an even atomic level that you would have to model in order to replace a civil engineer or the structural engineer or the MEP engineer in a fully automated way, because otherwise you will actually still rely on one thing, and that is deterministic calculations. And you know what you need for what you don't need for deterministic calculations is probabilities. You don't need it. There's an efficient frontier of possible solutions in a mathematical formula. Usually it's one. So that's what I'm pointing out. So Autodesk investing in this, I think, is a strategic great move. First of all, because they're not only in construction. Secondly, it gives them option value in case maybe they discover it. Maybe they actually do it, right? Great. And three, even if they don't, they're probably going to make money on this. Fantastic move. I can only congratulate Autodesk to it. But that's not the same as saying I have a world model that will fix how to auto-generate buildings on the fundamental level. I don't think that's what this is. And I reject that notion.
On the visual and CGI side, I've got a friend back in Poland who's got like small design office that they do CGIs for small, medium-sized developers. He's been so busy for the last 7 years, crazy busy. And maybe 3 months ago, we caught up and we started chatting, and he said that he no longer works for any of these developers because they learned how to generate good enough CGIs themselves. And now he's into more larger firms, larger architects who would like to subcontract to him some work for more complex projects. So it just tells me that the barrier to entry to create a basic CGI for 35 houses somewhere on the field in Poland, which is a lot of construction happening like that, I'm sure everywhere. It just goes down to very, very little, to just prompting the model and adding some maybe photographs of previous projects and some drawings maybe, and it gets done to a good enough level. So that's on the CGI side. I can see that on CGI, but physics and objects is a separate thing.
Physics is exactly physics in the end. Every model about physics or every theory about physics that we have, people think of theory like, oh, it's unproven, that's why it's a theory. No, that's not the definition of theory in a physics sense. The definition of theory is, with these variables, I can describe these kinds of outcomes. That doesn't mean that there aren't variables that we shouldn't discover in the future, right? But it is in the end describable. But you know what it isn't? It isn't like we came to this because we abstracted it away as a number of possibilities. No, we came through it through a number of mathematical formulations. And in these variables or these assumptions, they are making sense. They are consistent, coherent. That's why it's a lovely product, guys. But to call it a world model, I really take offense at that. As long as it's that.
I would love to be on the other side, but I can't be on the other side on this one.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
There is no way you could do I'm trying to think. You couldn't do what you're proposing, which is to account for all of Newtonian physics in a world model. The amount of compute that you would need would be insane. But what they're probably proposing is that it simulates things.
Well, just have a model of beam.
Hold on. Hold on. So, I mean, simulation software exists, CFD,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Computational fluid dynamics. That exists. Sorry, guys, that is, I mean, that is not probabilistic. It literally calculates every possible scenario, and then it shows you how, under the different physical assumptions that you're making, this is likely, this is what's going to happen. That's not probabilistic.
No, I agree. There are formulas in codes, Euro codes, or British standards, or you guys have.
That drives me nuts. It's like when people say, "Hey, my AI can now do math." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like you can do math, your calculator can do math. It's not like, "Hey, most likely 2 + 2 is 4." No, it's always 4.
Nice. Shall we end on a Patrick rant?
I don't think this is a good investment.
Interesting.
I don't think this is a good investment. I looked into that company a little bit. This is like metaverse on steroids. Now, can they sell to maybe, if they create a great model, to a gaming companies? Yes. This is not targeting architectural space.
What's their name again?
World Labs. Very
Just
good.
with that name, I do discount them a lot.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you. I think we coped well without our call-ins this week. Next week, I would really like to explore this company. I'm going to reach out to them, called CYVL Civil. I saw that they put an ad on LinkedIn for a salary for a civil engineer for $500,000 with some interesting thoughts around why they're offering that. So I will do my hardest to get them here next week, and we can dive into that. But
Wonderful.
on that note, bye.